What's going on, Jerome's? So doing something a little bit different today, and yes, it's early in the process. We haven't even gotten to the freaking Senior Bowl yet, but we're going to do a top 11 mock draft. Now, if that number sounds familiar, it's because the Vikings are drafting at 11. It's a pick where we got Trey Waynes. It's where we got Dante Culpepper. Get your roll on. Quarterback of the 0-16 Lions, by the way, back in 08. It's really good that Bob Seger and Jeff Daniels were at every single Lions game during 2008. Not saying, I'm just saying. But we're going to go through and we're going to have trades and we're going to look at plausible scenarios. And so the Bears up at 1. With Shane Waldron in the building, I mean, there's some talk there where it's like, hey, Waldron worked with the same quarterback camp that Caleb Williams is working with. Or, hey, Waldron turned around Geno Smith. Maybe he can do the same for Justin Fields. And I think that it would be smart for the Bears to take Caleb Williams in the spot, but they're the Bears, so I think we know what the Bears are going to do. So in this spot, I feel like Washington is going to want to come up from 2 and try and box out anyone trying to get ahead of them. And, Magic Johnson, Josh Harris, obviously NBA background. This league is built on superstars. Caleb Williams is from the area adjacent. So I think that I do think that Washington is going to make a move up if the Bears try to get out. So all right. So we're going to give Washington 1. We're going to give the Bears 2. A future one, and So for one spot, I do think that they could get a haul. I think they legitimately could get that. And I know the Bears fans will say, like, "Oh, we want more." That's plenty. It's plenty. Shut your face. So forced trade. There you go. So Washington is up there at 1, and start drafting. Enhance. So Caleb Williams. Yeah, pretty easy peasy lemon squeezy. The Bears at 2. Now the Bears are an interesting spot where, I mean, they could just stick and pick and take Marvin Harrison Jr. I think his floor is 4 to the Cardinals. But do the Bears do the same thing to the Patriots that they just did to Washington? It's like, hey, there's other teams bidding. You should move up here, blah, blah, blah. I think that's a little bit too much. So I think that the Bears just stick and pick here is like, hey, you're gonna roll with Justin Fields, getting him the wide receiver 1 in this class. Although I feel like the gap between wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2, like Harrison versus Neighbors versus Odunze versus even Brian Thomas, I think it's pretty damn close. 3, Patriots. So New Day, New Dawn, Gerard Mayo and company, and they got to get their quarterback of the future. And then Drake May, the Patriots have seen what Josh Allen has done. And Drake May, similar body style, I think similar athleticism. Maybe not quite the athlete, but good accuracy, good grit. I think that he's going to fit in extremely well with the Patriots. So he goes number 3. 4, so now, the Cardinals are in an interesting spot. So they could just stick and pick. They could take Neighbors. They could take Joe Alt. They could take Brock Bowers, even though they have McBride. 2 tight end set. Let's go. Adune's also is there. So they have a couple of ways to go. But so the fact that Williams and May are off the board and you're still at 4, this pick could become very attractive to some of the other teams that are looking for quarterback. And again, this is before free agency and anything, so all the teams are a blank slate. Look at the Falcons right now. Well, first off, this would be a great spot for the Vikings to trade up. I'm not gonna lie. Actually, should we just do it? No. For purposes of this exercise, no, we're gonna stick and pick at 11 and see how the top 10 shakes out. Even though if I was Kwesi and Jane Daniels made it to 4, I'm getting on the horn with Monty Austin Ford and the Cardinals and getting things done, man. But in this spot, Chargers, good in the hood. They're probably going to take Brock Bowers. And then you have the Giants just chilling. You have the Tennessee Titans, depending on how new head coach Brian Callahan feels about Will Levis. They could be tempted. The Bears, how the Bears pass on quarterback up at 1, and then they swoop around and get one anyway. That would actually be low-key hilarious. Jets probably need some tackle help. But the Falcons, if you put Jaden Daniels in this offense, baby. So let's do a little bit of business. All right, so trading with the Falcons. All right, so Falcons at 8. Falcons want to move up. It's going to cost them. All right, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of about that. Sure. All right, so 8, 43, and a future first and third to move up 4 spots to get your quarterback of the future. There you go. Wait, how do they say no? Don't I control both teams? Thought I did. Anyways. All right, so drafting a player. Falcons are on the clock. What do we do? All right, so Falcons in this spot. Jaden Daniels, QB1. Let's go. All right, so first 4, Williams, Harrison, Drake May, Jaden Daniels. Got 2 trades. Let's get nuts. Now, the Chargers are in an interesting spot. So you wouldn't really fault them for going wide receiver. Quentin Johnson doesn't look like he's it. Mike Williams can't stay healthy, and Keenan Allen is aging out. Right, tackle could make some sense. Although I don't like the whole thing about taking a tackle like Joe Alt or Fashanu or Fuaga and just flipping him to right tackle, because you do have Rashawn Slater, who's a stud, man. But I mean, tight end is just sitting there chilling, and Brock Bowers. What do they do here? So wide receiver makes sense, absolutely, but it's also a deep wide receiver class. I do think that Brock Bowers is an absolute difference maker, but just sort of flip a coin. What does Herbert want? Actually, screw it. We're gonna take Malik Neighbors. All right, so now they have Neighbors, they have Quentin Johnston, and they have Josh Palmer for the future. Maybe they move on from Keenan Allen this offseason. Who knows? 6. So the Giants are in an interesting spot. So they're kind of similar to the Chargers, well, outside of the quarterback spot. But they could take a tackle, yes. They could, although the whole Evan Neal moving him from left to right didn't really work out. They could take a wide receiver. Odunze is there chilling. Brock Bowers is there. Definitely could be in the cornerback business as well. Defensive interior, maybe. Cornerback, I mean, they could use help all over the place, but I feel like the franchise of Mark Bavaro, the franchise of Jeremy Shockey, who Bowers is often compared to, I don't think they could pass this one up. So, yes, they have questions about Daniel Jones. Yes, I think they could reach around and take, they could take a quarterback day too, but having Bowers in the middle of the field, it didn't work out with Darren Waller, and now Waller's starting a music career. But, I mean, Bowers is going to light things up for New York. I really like that pick a lot. 7. So the Tennessee Titans, they never really replaced Taylor Lewan at left tackle. And they have their choice of the offensive tackles in this spot. I think Joe Alt does make sense here in Arizona. So Arizona, they missed out on Marvin Harrison Jr. and able to trade down from 4 and get a lot in return. So that's great for Monty Ossenfort. And the fact that they only drop down 4 spots and they still get Rome Odunze in this spot, I think that's fantastic for them. Clicking. All right. So now the Bears are back up on the board. So they could certainly take a tackle. Newton could make a little bit sense there, although they double down on defensive interior in the last draft, day 2. Wiggins makes a lot of sense. Dallas Turner, I mean, Dallas Turner would be a monster, but I feel like since Eberflus wants to run the 4-3, I mean, Turner seems to be scheme agnostic, but I do think that Jared Verse would be a better hand in the dirt defensive end. Leatu is going to be out there as well. Man, I mean, would the Bears just trade down here again? I mean, it's possible, but I mean, DeJean in that defensive backfield could make sense. Fashanu makes sense. Actually, they're all right. So they're actually going to make the good pick here, even though yes, that was pretty decent at left tackle, but having a chance to suture up and get your 2 bookends for Justin Fields. So you got Fashanu on the left side, you got Wright on the right side. So yeah, I think you're good. 10. Just take Cooper DeJean. No. So 10, the Jets are on the board, and I mean, there's a lot of needs there, but they could address wide receiver in free agency. Maybe they still end up with Devontae Adams. But I think it comes down to tackle. And even though there's been a mini run on offensive tackles with Alt and Fashanu off the board, Fuaga coming on in because Mekhi Becton ain't working out. And they got to protect Aaron Rodgers' old ass. So that's where we are. And that's how the top 10 shakes out in front of the Vikings. Now, again, if Jaden Daniels got to 4, would be super tempting to go up and get him. But Williams, a couple of trades, the commies moved up to 1. Magic Johnson gets his box office showtime. Caleb Williams. Harrison goes to the Bears. And so the Bears come away with Harrison Jr. and Fashanu. So, I mean, 2 premium players at premium positions. I mean, two rock stars. And you're building around Fields. And hell, the Bears could still take a quarterback at round 2. There you go. Drake May going to the Patriots. That makes sense. Daniels, Jaden Daniels on the Falcons with Jaden Daniels, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bergeron. I mean, let's go. Let's go, man. League neighbors going to the Chargers. So now Justin Herbert gets his new wide receiver 1, his new BFF. Bowers to the Giants. I like that matchup a lot, man. I do. Then so the Cardinals moved down and they got like a second and a future first and a third somewhere in there. So they got a lot, but they still get a Dunes in this spot where I feel like if they don't get Harrison, I feel like they'll be relatively happy. Actually, they'll be ecstatic moving down 4 spots, getting a future second, future first and a third for Dunes. Yeah. And then Fuaga, so 2 tackles go there. So this is realistically how the board could play out for the Vikings. And you have DeJean on board. You have Newton on board. You got Wiggins there as well. Dallas Turner sitting there chilling. I like a lot. Terrion Arnold, Latu. So, I mean, Bo Nix just sitting there chilling. Brian Thomas, I think, is underrated. So the Vikings could be in really, really good position in this spot. Penix is there too. So, yes, you could stick and pick and take quarterback. Yes, you could take, probably not running back up this high, but Newton, sticking and picking makes sense. Wiggins, I like a lot. Terrion Arnold, Dallas Turner verse. So, it's a tough decision here. And, again, this all definitely depends on what happens in free agency. Do the Vikings bring back Kirk Cousins? Do the Vikings bring back Danielle Hunter? Do the Vikings sign a free agent cornerback like L'Jarius Sneed? So again, like we said, this is a complete blank slate. But I mean, Turner is so freaking tempting, man. There's so much Von Miller to his game. Good young Von Miller, not like current old ass Von Miller. Wiggins. I mean, people are going to hate on Nate Wiggins because of Andrew Booth Jr. not working out, but Wiggins is an absolute stud, man. He's a stud. And Newton, I would not be mad at Newton at all in this spot. So, actually, in this, all right, so we'll say hypothetically they re-signed Kirk, they re-signed Neal, they signed a cornerback, and Newton, like, this isn't a tier 1 defensive interior class, but Newton is the best of the best. And do we put this on slow? Why do we put this on slow? I want to go fast. Just to see how the rest of the first round played out. Oh, the Cardinals are back up. Do we take Bo Nix? No. Braylon Trice. Real name, no gimmicks. Do. Go round the outside. All right, so here is the results of our mock draft. Do we zoom in and enhance? Maybe not. Maybe F yourself. I will say The Departed is one of the most underrated movies out there. The Departed and The Town. Also, the A-Team's really good. So, for our top 11, Williams, Harrison, Drake May, Jane Daniels, Neighbors, Bowers, Alt, Adunes, Fashanu, Fuaga, Drazan Newton. Welcome on in. You are a Viking. So, I absolutely love Newton. So, for me, it's a toss-up between Newton and Murphy II. I think Newton is slightly more athletic, slightly better first step. But yes, he is a trade-off because he's slightly smaller. But I think that he's a guy that's going to just completely come in and wreck. And you can play him at nose tackle on passing downs. You can play him as a 4-tech, 5-tech. But either way, getting guys on the interior that can create their own pass rush is going to be the name of the game. Turner goes to the Broncos. Ironic, since we just compared him to Von Miller. Wiggins goes to the Raiders versus the Saints. DeJean to the Colts. Latu, going to Seattle. Going back to the great Pacific Northwest. He started his career out of Washington. McKinstry to the Jaguars. Brian Thomas Jr. Replacing T. Higgins, who's probably gone. I like that one a lot. The Rams get the quarterback of the future in Penix Jr., Penix Mightier. Arnold to the Steelers. Ooh, Arnold and JPJ. That's a great cornerback duo going forward. Mims going to the Dolphins. Yeah, they need help along the offensive line. I mean, it could be interior too. I mean, JPJ could go to the Dolphins. I wouldn't be mad at him. Rakestraw goes to Mizzou. Then a mini run Bama guys. Broswell and Latham go to the Texans and Cowboys respectively. I mean, so Broswell reunited with Will Anderson. That's pretty good. At Latham, yeah, I mean, Tyron Smith is done, or at least we're getting there. Morgan goes to the Greasy Grime of Green Bay Packers, mainly because Bakhtiari can't stay healthy. Lassiter, I mean, the Bucs have a gaggle of talented cornerbacks, but they need to add another new fresh body all up in there. Trice, who we picked, going to the Cardinals. McConkey going to the Bills. Ooh, kind of like it. So, McConkey's going to get stereotyped as just like a slot guy. No, McConkey's really, really damn good, man. And it seems like they're done with Stephon Diggs. So now, I mean, with McConkey and Schultz and whatnot, going forward, I mean, with Josh Allen, it's not bad. It's not bad, man. Tez Walker going to the Chiefs. I love that. So you got Tez, you got Rashee Rice for Mahomes. He finally got some weapons. Newman goes to the Lions. It's a great fit. It's a great fit. Ooh, this is spicy. Bo Nix to the Niners. Let's go. Let's go. Competing with Brock Purdy and then Leonard Taylor III going to the Ravens, because that's what the Ravens do. They're always creeping on the back end of the first round, and they always get an amazing front seven and especially defensive line guy or an edge rusher, and they just reload. Eric DeCosta. Man, I mean, Ozzie laid the groundwork, and EDC is running with it, man. But that's it. It's our top 11 mock draft. You guys are the best. Skol, production value.